right, let's get this show on the road. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings. My name's Justin, and that is Clifford Broadway.
Hello, everybody. This is Clifford right here on another beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Welcome to our weekly rundown of news, gossip, analysis, and everything that we can find within the world of J.R.R. Tolkien. And as you all know, it's all about you guys. We are welcoming right now during our live show, welcoming a wide community of people from Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube. Everyone's with us now, and I can see everybody. Beautiful, beautiful audience, and it's wonderful to have you all here with us. Oh, look, Freddie Mercury is in the house tonight. We have classic Queen. We are the champions. Hello, everybody. I am so happy to see Justin sitting right over there.
Speaking of champions,
over there.
We talked about it last
There's
week.
Justin.
I thought, we did this for season 1. It was so successful and it was so much fun. I thought today we would go over all of the leaks that we can remember before season 2 came out.
And see how bizarre they were. Yeah, okay.
But not only bizarre, how accurate they were, and whether they were kind of accurate or anything like that. But before we get into that main discussion, there was some big news. Not big news, but there was some Lord of the Rings related news over the last week. So, Cliff, let's just burn through the news real quick, and then
let's do that. Yeah, we have some really interesting headlines to share with you folks. And again, we welcome you all, and I can acknowledge you and see you in the live chat. Sure is great to see you guys here together. Wonderful to have you all here. Look at that. The journey continues for the musical stage production of The Lord of the Rings is now moving to the next level. It really is.
Yeah, it's the Lord of the Rings musical is officially licensed, and it's coming back to the UK early next year, before it goes on a full European tour. So tickets are, I believe, available starting the 22nd of October. So that's next week. Tickets go on sale. Paul Hart's acclaimed production to return to the UK, an exclusive run at the Theatre Royal Plymouth, October 4th through 11th, prior to a European tour. So actually, it's next October. But there you go. So Lord of the Rings the musical is coming back to the UK, and everybody that has saw it, I believe our own Kirsten Green Dragon saw it in Chicago, and so did Matt, Nerd of the Rings. Everybody that's seen it loves it, and it is
totally.
It looks great. All right, moving on. Martin Scorsese is producing the new Beatles documentary.
That's interesting.
I wanted to bring this up because, Cliff, I thought Peter Jackson had the Beatles docs on lock.
Yes, he did, but then I guess he doesn't.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, it looks like many, many more things can be said about the Beatles. And it seems that Marty Scorsese himself, is the guy who really wants to do it. And I have to remind everyone that Peter Jackson won the Emmy Award for that extraordinary 3-part documentary that he did. It's on Disney Plus, and it's called Get Back. However, it is not a full historical documentary about the Beatles and their lives and their creative history. It was Peter Jackson focusing on a very specific couple of weeks at the end of January in 1969, when the Beatles were together and fighting with each other, and they were not together, and then they were back together just to get that album recorded, Get Back. Now, I wonder, and we don't know the details yet, but I do wonder if Mr. Scorsese is, broadening the scope of the story.
Well, we do know the details. This documentary is based on footage from their 1964 tour. This is aptly titled Beatles 64. It is specifically a Martin Scorsese document, and as you guys may remember, Martin Scorsese is kind of famous for doing musical documentaries. Didn't
The Last Waltz?
There you go.
The Last Waltz, very famous, yeah.
And Scorsese also did one with Bob Dylan that's on Netflix.
He did, that's right.
So music docs are kind of a passion project, especially if they're concert based. This is concert and tour based. So it's a Beatles 64 from Martin Scorsese. Cliff, do you think Peter Jackson declined to do this doc because he might be busy in Middle Earth?
Maybe. I wonder. I really do wonder about that because Peter, I've been told many times over the years that Peter likes extra work and he likes to compound, and I mean that, leveling, compounding on top of another level of work, another project on top of another project, because they dovetail into each other and they provide a lot of kinetic energy. So I don't know. I would have thought that Peter would be generally unafraid of doing multiple projects at the same time. I've been told he likes to compound his work together in layers of extra work.
Well, he and Weta Digital are involved in this. They are doing
Mm,
their upscaling, their 4K AI driven enhancement, like they did with the World War One doc and with Get Back. So Peter Jackson's going to
mm.
have his hand on the visual and the sound quality of this movie. So I just found it interesting that Peter won Emmy Awards for the Beatles doc, and now he's not doing the next Beatles doc after winning Emmy Awards. Feels kind of like, wait, what? Did something happen? Other news, Cliff, heavy metal. Why would we be talking about heavy metal?
Because of the last ballad of Damrod appearing in this, exciting big climactic battle in the Rings of Power, or maybe it's because heavy metal is one of the most famous, seminal illustrated fiction magazines in the world that has brought many European and South American artists to the attention of us here in our country where we've never heard or seen them before. Heavy metal is, if you don't know it, a tremendous, what you'd call a magazine of what you'd call them anthology. It's an anthology series of graphic novels and comics from famous artists around the world. And here we have a breaking news story about heavy metal.
This they are rebooting the magazine, and it is under new
Excellent.
ownership. This is
Excellent.
this is the cover of the brand new rebooted heavy metal magazine. And why am I telling you about this? Because heavy metal is coming back with a new issue 1 featuring the legendary Greg Hildebrandt as the
Wow.
cover artist.
Oh,
Cliff,
that is so
who is
that is
Greg
so cool.
Hildebrandt?
Well, you remember the Hildebrandt brothers from all of the softcover paperback editions from Ballantine books. And I mean the J.R.R. Tolkien editions. And not to mention, throughout the 70s and the 80s, the Hildebrandt brothers did the most famous J.R.R. Tolkien calendars. Wonderful artwork, very distinct in their style, their style of illustration and artwork. This is some of the coolest news I've heard in a long time. They are recreating and relaunching one of the greatest illustrated fiction anthology series ever, with different artists and different stories from around the world, but they're choosing to feature the early 80s classic style of Greg Hildebrandt. Everybody knows him from the Tolkien calendars and from the Ballantine publications of their favorite Tolkien books.
Probably the most famous Hildebrandt. Let me see if I can bring it up.
Oh my gosh, so amazing. His work is so amazing.
This work,
Icon.
this Tom
Icon.
Bombadil. Everybody knows this Tom Bombadil.
Totally iconic.
The most iconic of all Bombadil's sketches is this Tom Bombadil. This is the Hildebrandt.
I love it.
The Hildebrandt
Yeah, it's
brothers,
great
or the
stuff.
brothers Hildebrandt as they go by. So Greg Hildebrandt, and this is his original sketch. This was in a documentary. I wish I could remember what the documentary was. That they show all this awesome original artwork as it was drawn and early sketches of Tom Bombadil. This might be the very first drawing of Tom Bombadil to get popular. I don't recall anything earlier. I don't recall Tolkien even drawing Tom Bombadil himself.
To be honest, I think that Pauline Baynes, the earliest illustrations of Tom Bombadil were created by the famous book illustrator who worked so frequently with Tolkien, and she even did some great maps of the Middle Earth. That would be Pauline Baynes, Baynes. You need to dial the clock back a little bit further in time to see some of the earliest depictions of Tom Bombadil by other artists.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone knows who Pauline is, and if you find her, we'll show some of the folks at home some of her beautiful work.
So anyway,
but, hey, this is launching soon. How soon is this happening? It's happening very soon, isn't it?
Happening right now. Heavy Metal Magazine has its own Discord. And this cover, new artwork from the brothers Hildebrandt. That's incredible. And Cliff, I mean, artists only get better with age and
indeed they do.
Experience.
Indeed. That's true.
That's true. Concept, the quality of the execution of this artwork makes me want a new Hildebrandt Brothers Lord of the Rings calendar or something.
Gosh, that's a great idea. That is a wonderful idea. I love that idea.
Right?
Yeah, it's a spectacular idea.
All right, moving on. Cliff, well, before I bring this up, I want to ask you, Cliff, if you typed in Duran.com, spelled just like the Dwarf King, what would you expect? What type of website or company would call themselves Duran?
Let me guess. Well, I know the answer already, but if I didn't know the answer, and you said there's a company name called Duran, I would anticipate that they are in the business of mining and extraction. That's what I would guess.
You are 100% correct. If you go to Duran.com,
I would guess that. Wow.
This just popped up on my radar this week. Autonomous drilling for mineral exploration.
Oh gosh, what's that?
The company Duran has been created to use high-tech tools to drill for lithium.
Lithium. Oh boy, we're digging for our own special secret mithril, and it's called lithium on this planet. Wow.
Lithium, of course, powers many batteries in your phone,
it does.
In your cars, rechargeable lithium battery. Lithium is a precious resource for the technological age. It kind of is the mithril of our age. And Duran, the company, is... There is nothing on this website that says it is officially licensed. Now, usually if you go down to the bottom, it says, what the company does and everything. But if I go to the bottom of the website, it just...
Oh, dear.
It doesn't have any licensing information. I think someone who founded this company is just a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah. Well, without getting into the, really gross, stupid Peter Thiel stuff, there are companies such as his that use, and I mean they license, if I'm not mistaken, they license the names from Tolkien Enterprises, such as they don't license Palantir.
No. There's nothing on the website.
So these companies are not even licensing?
No, if you go to their websites, it says not affiliated or endorsed or licensed by the Tolkien estate or anything else. They're just going for it. Anduril Technologies that built Trump's border wall. Palantir Technologies that's doing all high-tech spying on us. And now Duran is drilling for lithium.
Oh, dear.
I don't know how to feel. I think Cliff, we've talked a little bit about this stuff, and today we're not going to get into it. But I got to say, if you're going to name a mining company, what a great name.
That's a very interesting name, but why is it there are not lawsuits left and right for them using names illegally without licensing the names? I mean, back in the 90s,
for another day.
Back in the 90s, there was a children's entertainment clown, and he used the name Gandalf, and he got into legal trouble for using a name that was licensable. So I wonder why these companies aren't getting in trouble legally. I wonder.
Who knows? Cliff, I don't know if you've been catching up. I wanted to bring up the latest episode of The Penguin. It's on HBO Max. It's on HBO and HBO Max.
Yes, that's right. It is. I have yet to see it, actually.
My favorite show on TV right now, The Penguin. This is the highest rated TV episode of the year of all
with
TV
Colin
shows.
Farrell. This is the new Colin Farrell show. Right.
Yeah, it's a spin-off of the Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman.
The Matt Reeves, the Batman. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So,
yeah. Oh, of course. I remember Andy Serkis was playing Alfred Pennyworth. I remember.
So yes. the latest. Anyway, I told you guys earlier last year that my favorite show on TV was Shogun, and what happened with Shogun? It was. I would not steer you guys wrong. Okay, I'm not steering you guys wrong.
Shogun was spectacular, really spectacular.
So Penguin is equally as great as Shogun. In fact, the Penguin is so good, it's actually inspiring a lot of people to realize, man, Rings of Power could be great, because some of these other shows like Shogun and the Penguin are actually great. And so this latest episode was 9.5 on the Amazon-owned IMDb. Yes, Amazon owns IMDb. So just for reference, Cliff, I thought, what is the highest rated episode of Rings of Power? And sure enough, IMDb lists it. You can sort by
ratings.
Top rated.
Yes.
Top rated episode of Rings of Power is season 1, episode 6, Udun.
That's the explosion of Mount Doom, isn't it? In that episode.
It tops out at an 8.1. The best rated episode of Rings of Power season 1 and season 2 is an 8.1. Compare that to the Penguin's 9.5.
Well, they're within a 1.4 spread. 1.4 statistical points of voting near. Very near that, but not quite there.
8.1 is the top rated episode. And just for kicks, let's look up Shogun. Shogun, one season, top rated 9.4. Look at that on the top left. Top rated episode 9.4, second top rated episode 8.9 on IMDb's rating list. 9.4 versus 9.5. That's how good the Penguin is. A comic book show. A comic book show. So I wouldn't steer you guys wrong. This show is incredible. I hope you guys catch up. I talked to Nerd of the Rings earlier today. He's not even watching it. Cliff, you just said you're not watching it. Not enough people are watching the show.
I don't have a subscription to that service. I have dozens of other streaming services, but not that
Max. You don't have Max? Everybody has Max.
I had Max for a while.
All right.
But
it's fine. But interesting thing here. I wanted to bring up this tweet from this last episode. Someone says, it's actually so nice to have a comic book adaptation based around a villain that actually acknowledges their protagonist is pure evil. There's no redemption arc or anti-hero status. He's just a selfish, manipulative, evil person ruining the lives of everyone in his orbit.
Okay. So it really is an unsparing, unflinching look at Oswald Cobblepot.
Well, in this show, he's called Oz Cobb because they modernized his name. But Cliff, does this description remind you of our early anticipation for the Rings of Power?
It
Is
does.
this what fans would truly enjoy watching if Rings of Power just let Sauron be an evil, nasty, manipulative, selfish presence that ruins the lives of everyone in his orbit? Or is
Yes.
that the
Yeah.
wrong take on Sauron?
No, their take on Sauron started off differently in season one, that Sauron was at some point trying to find a way to redeem himself and find his way to a different level of power and respect. So, yeah, that was entirely where they started. In season two, I do believe that the narrative thrust of the show has honed in on just him being despicably evil and manipulative, and they're not holding back anymore. And that is one of the main reasons why there was such improvement in my mind, an improvement in the approach to the narrative in season two for Rings of Power, was that they really did let Anatar become who Anatar was really destined to be. The 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 person who arrives pretending to be an emissary of the Valar, and horrible manipulation ensues quickly thereafter. But yeah, I see your point. Um, they
But
spent a
but
lot of time in season one getting us to want to like him. Wasn't there? Isn't that what you'd can consider that the trajectory of season one was more like, don't we want to
and
see a little bit of the human side of Sauron, that he wants to do things in his own special way? Was that kind
I
of where we were at with season one?
I
Right?
don't think anybody wanted it, and the viewership decline is proof of that. People want evil Sauron being evil. The show is called The Lord of the Rings. Who is the
Well,
Lord of
he
the
is
Rings?
now. He
Sauron.
certainly is now.
What the show is subtitled The Rings of Power. Who made the
Hmm.
Rings of Power? Who controls the Rings of Power? Who distributes the Rings of Power? It's all Sauron. This should be Sauron's show. And in interviews, the
Well,
showrunners
actually,
keep saying
Sauron did not singularly make the Rings of Power. Celebrimbor
that
and
was
the
the whole
Elven
point of.
Smiths
Well,
made them.
Celebrimbor didn't make the rings by himself, did he? All right, that
Not
was the
by
whole point
himself,
of
no.
season two.
That
So
was the point.
Sauron
Yeah,
helped. What I'm
that
saying
was an
is the
academic point I
showrunners
need to make.
themselves keep saying that this show is all about
Mm.
an evil antagonist like The Sopranos, like Breaking Bad. And here
Hmm.
we are with another
Mm.
show on HBO called The Penguin that is doing a really great job at telling us
Yeah.
the story of a really bad man.
And the effects that he has on everybody around him. Well, I'm going to have to renew my subscription to Max so that I can catch up on this show. Not to
Yeah.
mention catching up on second season of House of the Dragon, which I haven't seen yet. But I've got to do that too.
All right. So Cliff
Wow.
will watch that and get back to me.
Then we'll have some
Alex
conversations about that.
Alex Disnoff is the director of photography for Rings of Power.
Wow, look at
And
that.
he posted this video showing the lighting grid. You can see this is the scene when the rings come alive, when the three elven rings come alive, and he actually did that
Ah.
in camera. When the light turns to gold, it's not a digital effect.
Oh, really?
He has
show
orange
that.
lights
Let's
that
see
turn
that.
on.
Let's see that.
It's
Yeah.
just the briefest of video, but you can see that he built a lighting grid that makes the whole set glow gold.
Oh, look at the change in the light. Yeah, that's really cool. It's very specific. I can see that right now.
So
Wow.
you wanna follow him on Instagram, Alex Disnoff, because he's really given the goods. Kind of like how Bear McCreary is doing his music blogs about the making of the music. The DP is sharing some stuff. And before we get to our
cool,
main topic,
actually.
Jennifer Salke is the head of Prime Video, Amazon MGM Studios. I actually don't know what they prefer to go by. Sometimes they call themselves Prime Video, sometimes they call themselves Amazon MGM. I don't know. But fans are getting hype over some interesting comments that she made in an interview this week. Let's scroll all the way down to how have you found the reaction to season 2 of Rings of Power? And she says, obviously very different marketing levels. But that said, over 55 million people at this point have engaged since season 2 launched. Cliff, this is the first time I've ever heard a studio boss say engaged and not viewed.
Is that the technical term that they use these days?
It's a new one. She says there's well over 150 million viewers watching and engaging with the show. I wonder if she's counting all of our Discord posts and the Reddit commentary. She says, is there any change to the 50 episode commitment, the 5-season 50 episode commitment? She says, I don't think so. Guys, this is the boss of Amazon Studios. She runs the whole thing. She reports to Jeff Bezos. So when she says we're committed to the all 50 episodes, I don't ever want to hear anyone talk about the show's getting canceled or what if we only get 3 seasons or 4 seasons. None of that. The boss is here saying we are committed.
Let's talk about the number 50. Is that predicated on 5 seasons being divided into 10 episodes each? If so, then that number is already falling short because they're only doing 8 episodes per season. So that has to be reckoned.
Well, I'd be happy with 6 seasons in a movie.
Okay. Okay.
That's a Community joke. Embracer. Here's a weird non sequitur question from Variety. Embracer, who've had a rocky 18 months, currently own the majority of Tolkien's IP. Could we see a situation in which Amazon potentially acquires Embracer?
Oh, that would be so strange.
And Jennifer Salke, the head of Amazon Studios, says, we're always talking about those opportunities, but I don't have anything to share right now. Cliff, I think you and I would have heard rumors or whispers if anything like that was in the works.
Yes, we would have.
So
we sure would have.
I don't believe this comment means anything, and I just want to tell fans that we're getting excited in our Discord and getting excited on Reddit about, oh, look, Amazon could buy Embracer and give us all the merch. I don't know if there's any truth to this comment. I know it's coming from the boss, but we would have heard something, Cliff.
We would have, but do you know this is a nothing statement in terms of corporate speak, the way that CEOs talk about things in the news without actually revealing too much? This is a nothing burger statement.
Yeah.
Also, so you can't read too much into it.
The numbers don't make sense, guys. Like, let's just break this down. Amazon
No, the numbers don't make sense.
Like, you don't spend billions of dollars buying Embracer just to get the merch rights for Lord of the Rings. I promise you, although they're lucrative, they're not that lucrative.
Yeah.
You know? Also, Embracer has already signed a deal with Warner Brothers. Peter Jackson is making more Middle-earth movies. Amazon cannot take those back, even if it did an acquisition. That's a long-term contract. Like, it just, nothing makes sense. Amazon's life does not really improve if they buy Embracer. It doesn't. They already have the rights to the same books and movies that Warner Brothers does. That Embracer owns.
That's true.
So,
they have this extra deal with Simon Tolkien and representatives of the Tolkien estate to do the Second Age stories in their TV series, which is, you know, a whole different thing. And that's why they have the show separate from the movies that Warner Brothers are about to make. And, you know, we're getting closer and closer, like, to the release of The War of the Rohirrim every week. It's getting very close now.
Cliff,
I can't believe it. Christmas is around the corner.
Another comment surfaced. I want you to get your opinion on this. Morpeth Clark, who plays Galadriel, says, I didn't know when I was going to play Galadriel when I arrived in New Zealand.
Oh, gosh. Wow. That's interesting, isn't it?
I was going to play Celebrian, the daughter. because maybe I just couldn't imagine being able to lend the face to Galadriel.
Wow. Wow. What does that tell us? That's really interesting.
Well, it's interesting because the showrunners keep saying that they didn't know the stranger would be Gandalf until later in the writing and filmmaking process. And
Yeah,
then
they
the,
actually were withholding that even from the actor.
and then they didn't tell Charlie Vickers that he was playing Sauron until
That's
they
right.
were
They did.
filming the third episode.
That is also very strange and very true.
And in a new interview,
Yes.
they also hint at that they don't know the true identity of the new wizard, the Dark Wizard, because they haven't decided on which wizard that is. Cliff, do you think there's a possibility that they started the show with the possibility that Celebrian was the main character?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Really? That would have been interesting. But gosh, we could speculate in any number of ways on that. But I don't know if that was their original trajectory. They wanted to have a second age show built around the most familiar people who were also in the late third age. Now, that excludes the entirety of Hobbiton and all of its residents, and that means the entire family line of Bilbo and Frodo and their entire family line. So that's why we have proto-hobbits from thousands of years before
Why are
the
you
settlement
talking
of the
about proto
Shire.
hobbits? We're talking about Galadriel and Celebrian. I mean, I've
That's why
speculated on.
they why now Celebrian is not as well known as Elrond. I wanted to make the point that they're missing out on famous names like the Baggins family, but they're not missing out on famous characters like Elrond and Galadriel. They're not missing them. That's why they're front and center. So it would have been a strange approach to have Celebrian be the lead of the whole show.
I disagree. I've said this to you privately and to Matt and maybe even on this show. I think Celebrian would have made a better choice if keep everything in the show the same. Everything from meeting on the raft to getting excommunicated and put on the ship to Valinor to even the kiss in season 2. Everything makes sense if she's Celebrian. Everything.
Okay.
Especially the
Intriguing.
kiss. Especially the kiss. This show makes way more sense if that character that Morfydd Kark plays is just Celebrian.
Okay. I hadn't thought of it in that full context, but I think I see your point now.
And here we have an early interview from the actress herself saying, based on all the scripts that she had read and everything, and we're preparing for, she thought she was playing Galadriel's daughter.
That's intriguing. But then again, if they wanted the Second Age TV series to have stronger identifiers that connected to the Third Age, then why wouldn't Galadriel have been the main character front and center from the get-go, along with Elrond and Duran and,
You know what? I'm going to push back on your point. I get your point, but your point is rendered mute because they kept Gandalf a secret for 2 whole seasons. 16 hours of TV show, 16 hours of our precious viewership time, and they kept Gandalf a secret. If they were so obsessed with using the most famous of character names, then why did we have to be frustrated for 2 seasons?
That's an excellent counterpoint. I understand. Okay. Intriguing.
So anyway,
very strange when you think about it.
well, let's get to the main conversation, Cliff. Let's look at the Rings of Power season 2, Rumours.
All right then.
And let me let's bring this up. That doesn't need to be full screen.
Boy, did we have some interesting rumors back then. This was the weird stuff that actually suggested that they were full on doing the Silmarillion opening chapter, the Ainu Lindale.
Well,
The Ainu Lindale, if you want to call it that way. That would have been the music of the Ainur.
let's start at something earlier.
Okay.
A bonkers a bonkers reported in January of 2023. So this would have been 3 months after the start of photography on season 2. This was 3 months after the end of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had just moved production to the UK. We weren't quite sure how good it was going. And then in January of 23, we got this bonkers. And I remember you thought I was crazy. Like, there's no way that report was real. Demosthenes, who wrote it up, was like, this can't be true. There's no way that they would give us Tom Bombadil. And Cliff, what happened?
Wow. We sure did get Tom Bombadil. Wow. We got Tom Bombadil, that's for sure.
So we got the Tom Bombadil rumor absolutely correct early on.
Yes.
So let's file that under the leak was correct. That was bonkers. Is there anything else in this article? Yeah. So there you go. So we reported earlier. We reported first, and Gizmodo picked it up, and all the big press, IGN reported on it, and it was true. It was so true.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Spartan343 says, I don't buy for a second that they didn't know he was Gandalf from the get-go. And I have an inclination in that direction as well. That it was all planned, and the continuous subterfuge and mystery boxing was all planned a long time ago. But
I agree. And remember, the only job these guys have ever had was working for J.J. Abrams, the king of Lost and the king of Star Wars. And and J.J. Abrams, the king of going to Comic-Con and telling 6,000 fans to their face, Benedict Cumberbatch is not Khan. So that their only boss taught them about mystery boxing. So
yep. Super mystery boxing. Yeah, that's true.
And maybe I can reveal it. Maybe I can reveal it now. All right, yeah. All right. Varking has an exclusive Q&A dropping really soon with the showrunners McPain, where he asks the question about the wizards, about the Dark Wizard, about everything. So, do we trust their answers? I don't know.
Up to a point. I just saw them interviewed by Matt, Nerd of the Rings, and they actually said that they said they were surprised and shocked that people would be upset or shocked by the kiss, and they thought that would be a nothing burger that no one cared about. And I believe that. He's
kissing his mom. What?
His mother-in-law. Yes.
Nothing makes sense. All right, let's get to some of the other things. All right, last chance not to be spoiled. This was over a year later. This was some of the things. All right, here we go. Should we just go for it? Yeah, let's just go for it. All right, Amazon has newly expanded rights to plot points from the Silmarillion. True or false? Do you think that was accurate?
Well, they made some really specific character references. You know, the references to Rumil, the poet. There were references to First Age characters that we'd never heard before, but they didn't show in the story representation of the First Age the way we read about it in the Silmarillion. So maybe that's partially true. They've got access to some names, but it is partially true because they did mention First Age characters that are only found in the Silmarillion.
Well, there you go. We're 2 for 2. Okay. Count it. Is someone keeping track at home? Can someone keep track at home of how we do on the leaks?
Yes. Thank you, chat. Thank you, live chat, for keeping track of that for us.
All right, next one, Cliff. Season 2, Episode 1, opening scene is Eru using the secret flame to create Melkor.
That never happened. Big false rumor.
Oh, wow.
That's a big false rumor. Big X. If you're on the Family Feud, you get that big strike.
There was nothing even close to it. Nothing about the secret flame. Nothing about Melkor.
Not a speck of information along those lines. Nothing.
So the next few things were kind of spin-offs of that. Melkor, Eru is a disembodied voice.
Nope, that didn't happen.
The Secret Flame is golden. The Valar and the Mire. This is all the Ayulindale stuff. So the
Yeah,
whole
all the Ainu
Ayulindale
Lindale.
was false. All right.
All of it.
Next big one.
All of it.
Sauron will be played by 3 actors in season 2.
Well, no, it ended up being only 2 actors in season 2 who played him. What do you? Well, hold on. That look on your face is confused, but there was the opening of season 2, the very opening of season 2, where we see Sauron betrayed by Adar and the Uruks,
Sure.
and that was a different actor. The second actor portrayal was just Charlie Vickers. So there was not 3. There were no 3 actors playing Sauron.
Well,
only
unfortunately,
2.
Cliff, I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to give this one true because
How?
the emotional support blob counts as a person.
No.
He may not look like a person, but there is a performance in that blob. That blob worked its way from the mountain.
The bubbling mass of protoplasm does not represent a full actor portrayal of Sauron. That doesn't count.
It does to me.
That doesn't count.
That
No,
is the
no,
third form of
Okay, come on.
Sauron. It is a blob, and I like it. And
You're awfully funny. You're awfully
No,
funny, dude.
It's not.
That's
It's,
funny.
We're doing it. So there's early Sauron, late Sauron, and then blob Sauron.
Duran. Haha. Everyone in the live chat reminds us that it's not Sauron. The one who's made of goo is called Guron. So that's a funny. I love our chatters who come up with these crazy, funny nicknames. That's really funny stuff.
All right, Cliff, here's an interesting one. Sauron in Myron form and called such is not Hildebrandt Charlie Vickers.
That's right. That is true.
It was true. It was true.
That was true.
Sauron is in a Myron form. He does have red hair in that first episode, does he not?
A little bit. Maybe,
little
yeah,
bit.
it's kind of strawberry blonde, maybe blonde reddish. Hard to tell because they're in a dark, creepy cave in Forodwaith.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was true.
So we're
But
doing
was
pretty
he called
good.
was he called Myron? Was he called
don't-
Myron?
I don't think they say his name. I mean, I think
No, he was
says
just called Sauron.
Yeah.
So
But-
that was partially true. Not
But
fully
the
true.
the main gist of the leak proved true.
That is true.
After the
Oh, and all that stuff about Gavi.
Well, that's a later one.
That
we'll
was all
get there in a
Fellowship of
sec.
Fans
Yeah, we'll
nonsense. That was a bad
all right,
leak.
let's go
That wasn't
there.
right at all. That wasn't good. That wasn't a good leak at all.
Yeah, Fellowship of Fans posted this on Christmas Eve, and it
Yes, they
made a
did.
bunch of stress for anybody that mods a Lord of the Rings community on Christmas Day. We were not happy with a leak on Christmas Eve. You don't do that to the community. Fellowship of Fans exclusively reported, and they claimed it was confirmed, that Gavi Singh Shah was going to be Sauron. That proved extremely false.
Yep.
And
super false. Big red X on that one.
Red X on Fellowship of Fans. Torrin did not even post it because I didn't even trust it. What character did Gavi end up playing?
One of the stores. He plays one of the stores, and his name originally is Nobody, but then we found out later on what his name is.
But he's probably the most important store because he kisses Poppy.
Yeah, Poppy and he have quite a little fling. Quite the little fling.
So that's interesting. So he did play an important character, but totally wrong. All right, next one. After the 4th interruption of the song, several Maya meet and discuss Melkor's discordance. This is all about the Ayulindale. We've already discounted the Ayulindale, right?
Yes, we have. Yeah,
what
that's
about
all out.
It's all out, and Myron gives a speech. The one has blessed me more than So this is all Ayulindale. Man, this leak had a whole thing about Myron giving a speech and Gandalf being almost convinced to join his side. I actually kind of really like this idea. like I know I know you might not have liked it because it's not true to Tolkien's writings, but I really like the idea of like, you know, early stage Maiar possibly being convinced by seduced by Sauron's speech. All right, Sauron tells the dwarves he apprenticed under Iule.
Ole.
Ole, and they welcome
Yes.
him with open arms. Was this true?
No. I mean, he does have a quick, brief meeting with King Duran the Third, but none of those other things happened.
So he does not tell the dwarves he apprenticed under
Mm-mm.
their god?
And
All right.
looking at the response of Prince Durin the Fourth, it's definitely not being welcomed with open arms. Prince Durin the Fourth regards Anatar with extreme suspicion.
All right. Next one. Sauron has a son whom Adar killed.
Nope, that didn't happen.
That was a big fat. Sauron does not have a son. But you know who does have a son? Beetlejuice.
Yes, he does. Beetlejuice actually has a son now. Oh gosh, the Bride of Chucky. This is crazy what's happening there in
I,
Beetlejuice world.
I loved Beetlejuice movie. It's still in theaters, folks. If you can go see it, it is so
So
much
did I.
fun. It is so
Yeah,
much fun.
it was way way fun. Way
All
fun.
right,
I loved it.
we're marking the Sauron has a kid is false. Okay, we're not
Hmm.
doing too good
You
on
got to.
Sauron. Horse lovers rejoice! A dedicated bottle episode with little dialogue will tell the story of the first mayors.
Meras. Meras. And no, that didn't happen. We did
Well,
get
hold
interesting
on.
scenes with Beric, but we didn't get a full episode of just horse adventures.
So, yes, but we did get almost 20 minutes of a full first 20 minutes, I believe, of episode 4 with no dialogue,
Mm,
just Beric doing things, kicking orcs and doing things without any dialogue. So, Cliff, I kind of want to give this one a point. It wasn't fully real, but we did get a major scene that was just about
we did.
horses.
We did. We got a major specific horse only, a horse only point of view. And that specific point of view shifting entirely to Beric was really cool. Just didn't do a whole episode, but it was partially true. Yeah.
So if it's partially true, can we give it a
Yeah,
check?
sure we
Like,
can. Yeah.
and
I
and this
People in
is
the chat are saying I need a Beric comic book. I love that. I would love a Beric comic book.
and
That'd
this
be
is
really
a
cool.
good point to say to remind people. Leaks happen when
Beric
people
origins.
working on the show don't have the full story, right? And we know that Amazon is very secretive. Even other actors don't know what other actors are doing. And actors don't even get full scripts of their episodes. They only get their part for the next day. They take secrecy
right.
very seriously, and we reported on that season 1. So I can imagine that this leak came from someone who filmed that scene of Beric. I mean, it was probably many days. It was probably a week or two worth of filming with Beric and those orcs and the stunties and everything like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they probably
sure.
thought, oh, we've
Absolutely.
shot enough for a full episode about horses.
So that's where the rumor came from. Okay, that
So
follows. That makes sense. Yeah.
that's what happens with rumors. Someone involved with the production knows what's going on, but only has part of the story, and
Right.
we get a partially true thing. We are introduced to Felaroth, and we introduce Shadowfax. Cliff, this was very controversial. You did not want to see Shadowfax.
No, he shouldn't be alive until centuries later. So I'm glad that this is debunked. This
So
was not even
you
close to true.
hated that rumor. I mean, you really, and you and Matt especially did not want to see Shadowfax at all.
No, no. Why would anyone start to introduce the concept, mythologically speaking, that this horse can live for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? No, we're not going to introduce that concept. That could never happen.
All right.
Okay.
Moving on. Next one. Gandalf meets Shadowfax. Well, that kind of plays into what we just described. Tom Bombadil. This was a big one. Again, just a line item on the leak. Tom Bombadil and Goldberry are in an episode.
Well,
Very
half
true.
of that was true.
Well,
Half. Only half of that was true.
We
Well,
hear her voice.
we do hear her voice. Yes, that's also true.
So there you go. And her voice is the voice of Bear McCreary's wife.
That's right. It sure is.
So there you
Sure
go. That proved true. Let's put another mark on the got it right. The next one is Tom Bombadil and Goldberry are played by the same actor and actress as Melkor and Ungoliant.
I am so grateful that this was nonsense. It was the one thing that actually struck a chord of fear and loathing in my mind. Yeah, a big crazy pants rumor that is thankfully not going to be true and was not true. And who would ever see the sense in doing that? None of us. So I'm grateful that never happened.
That was one of the most controversial things, but I would have liked it.
It sure was. No, you would have not. No, you would not have. For heaven's sakes.
The pair as Bombadil and Goldberry are serving out punishment from Mandos per long-held fan theory. That just goes to... The season will end with Sauron forging the One Ring.
Nope, that didn't even happen. I think they're saving that for season 3. That did not happen at all.
Do you think they filmed it, but they decided to cut it?
Nope. Nope, okay. I don't think
you don't think they filmed it at all?
No, I do not. I think
Does he have to build Barad-dûr before he makes the One Ring?
Does he have to build Barad-dûr? The building and construction of Barad-dûr takes thousands of years, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. No. He can go ahead and work on making the One Ring without the Dark Tower being made yet. That's not necessarily correlated.
When they say the ring was forged in the fires of Mount Doom, is that... does he have to make the ring at the Crack of Doom, or can the lava flow be under Barad-dûr or wherever, or another place?
No, he makes the ring at the place that the elves call the Samath Naur. It is a real place with a real elvish name within the mountain Orodruin. And that is where he makes the ring. And the power of that mountain, combined with his personal evil and his necromancy, that's what it's all about. There's no way he's making it somewhere else.
Okay. Next, even more rumors. Simon Tolkien is personally involved in overseeing the show's expansion of the mythology.
That's true.
Very good.
That is a true thing. That is something that proved very specifically true.
He has his own credit in the credits now.
Series consultant. As series consultant. Yes, he does. Was that the case in season 1? It was probably there in season 1.
I think it was there, but I think it was smaller.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Next one. Cliff, season 2 is mainly Sauron's story, told from his perspective, and opens with him retelling history of how he got on the raft.
100%. That's exactly how it went down. Correct.
Cliff, do you remember that was the very first leak that I gave you, that season 2 opens with the story of the raft from his perspective?
Yep, I totally remember.
So I remember very distinctly. So 100%, and we got it early, and we got it first. I'm telling you guys, that was huge. That was huge.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one.
And I can't remember what your opinion was. Like, did you want to see the story of the raft from Sauron's perspective?
Well, yeah, I totally appreciate everything being, done in such a way from his perspective. Very Rashomon. And it was helpful for the narrative as well. to tell these things from his point of view.
I joked by saying, "Hi, my name is Sauron. You may want to know how I got here." That's not quite how it went down, but
Funny.
the execution was really good. I just wanted more
Yeah.
about Blob Sauron. All right, let's see
Duran.
next one. Episode 1 is primarily Sauron's story leading up to the breaking of the first silence.
Nope, that did not happen. That is a reference to the music of the Ainur from the very opening chapter of the Silmarillion. That did not happen.
All right.
That did not happen. To see what the world was like before Arda was created. They didn't show us any of that Silmarillion stuff.
Yeah, no record scratches on the actual season. Next one, Sauron will try to deceive Galadriel again by taking the persona of her husband Celeborn.
Ooh, this was the one that I hated the most. I mean, honestly, I really hated the rumor about, the characters of Tom Bombadil and Goldberry being played by the actor and actress who were Morgoth and Ungoliant. But I equally disliked this particular rumor. So glad it's not true. Didn't happen at all. Didn't happen
I
at
have a
all.
theory, Cliff, that
Tell me your theory.
they did film this. They did film an actor as Celeborn, and I believe they filmed it during the final battle scene, because what does Sauron do to Galadriel during their big fight at the end?
He changes into 3 different forms. Yeah.
He morphs
Yeah.
into Celebrimbor and herself and
And
Halbrand.
Hildebrandt. He does. Would it have been impactful and crazy if he turned into her missing husband? And just as an effort to mess with her mind and make her crazy. That could have been a really interesting effort.
Here's my crazy theory.
Didn't happen.
The first person he morphed into was Halbrand, and
Yeah.
that Halbrand does not look like Halbrand. It almost looks like an idealized version of Halbrand. And Charlie Vickers is on record in an interview saying that it was a last minute choice. They told me to grow a beard in one weekend, like grow stubble in one weekend, like he had all during season 1, and he couldn't grow his stubble fast enough. So that tells me that it was a last minute decision to film him as Halbrand in that scene, which makes me think the original plan, and maybe they filmed it, he turns into Celeborn, not Halbrand. And maybe they saw your reaction. Here's my theory. They filmed it. They filmed this leak of Sauron turning into Celeborn during that final fight. And they saw your reaction and Matt's reaction and T's reaction and everybody out there saying, this is the stupidest thing we've ever heard. You better not be doing it. And I think they went back and edited it out.
You
They
think?
reshot
Really?
Halbrand in the same shot at the last minute. Because
You think
Charlie
so?
said it was a last minute choice while they were shooting. It was a last minute decision for him to grow the stubble.
Wow. But he couldn't, so he got shown as rather clean-shaven Halbrand. But he did look a little bit different as that Halbrand.
But Cliff, this isn't the first time filmmakers would have listened to the fans saying we don't like this, is it?
Yeah, it was a bit different. Who knows if it was a last-minute change? But I'm glad that. Look, I'm glad that Anatar is now revealed as Sauron. I'm really glad that Gandalf is now revealed. I just wish that other staple characters had been on stage since 2 years ago. I really wish that they had not written out, oh, my husband probably died in battle, never seen or heard from him since, maybe I'm a widow. And that kind of thing of an elf, an immortal elf who lives for many thousands of years, to be caught in some stasis of not really knowing and thinking maybe I'm a widow, maybe.
That's the
That
bigger
just
crime. They should
I
have
don't get it.
committed.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Commit. Either commit to having him dead or commit to having her search for him. But this
Mm,
idea, this gray area, doesn't work for the show.
mm,
Cliff, the next one is
okay,
interesting. Sauron
okay.
sneaks back into Eregion as Celeborn.
Nope, that wasn't true either. That never happened. That never happened. Another X on that. So
But
a
again,
lot of these leaks were accurate. A lot of them were really way off base. Way off.
uh, but I will say again,
Hmm.
if they originally filmed it as Sauron, as Celeborn coming in to, because it does feel ham-fisted in the actual show, or he shows up and he sits there in the rain next to his horse until Celebrimbor says send him up. It feels kind of weird, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well,
It
he
doesn't
was
feel
told
well
he
thought
was
out.
told by Galadriel not to treat with him or to talk to him or deal with him at all. And that's
and he
why
and he doesn't for a couple days, and then he
yeah.
relents. I don't understand the motivation of Celebrimbor changing his mind and inviting Halbrand in doesn't make sense. But if that was Celeborn, of course Celebrimbor is going to be like, my dude, we thought you were dead. Please come up.
My dude, yeah, we thought you were dead. Galadriel's going to be so happy to hear that you're not dead. Come on in. Yeah, that would have been a different approach. Ah, yeah, well,
And then,
okay, I see what you're
once he's
saying.
in the tower, the same thing happens. The fires thing, and Anatar reveals himself, and I am a thing of the emissary, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it. I want to believe that the leak was true, and they edited it out in post production, and they changed it.
Oh, that's what you're trying to do. Okay, I see.
All right, next
Well,
one.
all
A
right, all right.
season-ending cliffhanger involves Galadriel making a choice to save Celeborn, aka Sauron.
No, thank gosh that didn't happen. That would have been a whole bunch of cockamamie stuff. I'm really glad that didn't happen. Really cockamamie stuff. Let's be grateful for the simple truths that we have in front of us.
All right, our final one. Episode 6 and 7 is a huge two-part siege of Eregion.
Yep, that was true.
That was true. A two episode siege of Eregion. I remember
Yep,
you got hype
that was
about that because it was a worthy battle to have 2 hours dedicated to it.
yes, it was. Well, this seemed to be the replacement for the War of the Elves and Sauron. This is what this was, and this is where, Celeborn dies and Ost Inethil is destroyed. And this was the replacement for a battle that takes years and years and years in the books to happen.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking at our counter here, Cliff, and it looks like, based on my hash marks, we got 9 of the leaks correct, and we got
Nice.
9 of them wrong. So
Okay.
we are break even
Okay. Wow.
50-50 on the leaks prior to
Yeah.
season 2.
Yeah,
Uh,
when you stop and think about it, yeah.
So, how do you feel about those odds? Do you think we should? Let me ask the chat room. Do you guys feel that we handled the leaks and rumors well during the run up to season 2, or would you like us to maybe not report all the leaks and wait until we can confirm things? But we can never confirm things because they're leaks, right? Where's the balance of like
Well,
having
look at
fun
it this
leaking
way.
stuff?
The stuff that was accurate was supremely accurate to exactly what was happening. The stuff that was wrong was so outlandish. I mean, it couldn't have been acceptable in any way whatsoever. Really. So half of it was garbage, nonsense. The other half of it was picture perfect accuracy in its leak prediction. So I don't know what that says about the quality of the leaks. But sometimes in the back of my mind, I think whoever is leaking and reporting these things is trying to also throw in a bunch of guff that is nonsense, maybe as a way to throw people off the scent of where the leaks are coming from. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I want to know what the fans feel how we approached the leaks. I mean, we didn't do weekly drops of leaks. You know, we had Green Dragon gossip, but we only posted 2 or 3 articles where we like combined, months worth of stuff into one editorial. And you did an editorial on the leaks and the what the impact would be if they proved true.
Indeed. Indeed, I did.
So I just think the leaks are fun. It's fun to talk about. I don't feel that we should ever hold a lot of weight on any leak. So there you go.
All right. People in the chat say, I think it's fun, and you guys make it clear you're going to talk leaks so people can tune out if need be. Katie says, I think we need to be intentional all around about leaks and careful. I adore daily Rings of Power way of doing that very much. Hello. Hello. Everyone says things. There's Jean. Jean says, the leaks are fun to discuss and theorize. I'd say keep reporting them. Crawling Chaos says, perhaps some of the leaks were intentionally wrong.
We expect that.
But that makes me suspect that some deliberate weirdness was interjected into all the truth of what was leaked. So, Otaku Senpai, always welcome here in our chat. I don't mind having the leaks. It is fun to speculate. Anonymous Girl, it was fine how you both reported the 4chan leaks. Last one, it's so good to have you here. It is not a case of saying, quote, these things are going to happen, so it's still good to keep going with it. All right. Okay. All right. Intriguing. Yes, maybe we should continue with, well, I think it is our responsibility to report these things. It really is our responsibility, because that gives all of the fandom an early litmus test to see how they're going to respond to the basic or the acid quality of the water. It is a litmus test.
I truly
and we're going to respond to it in a certain way.
And I believe in the Celeborn leaks, and I believe your reaction and the general fandom reaction was so loud and so violently opposed that they changed course. I do believe the leaks serve a purpose of testing the waters of crazy things they're doing in the show. I'm shocked that the kiss did not leak at all. Ever.
Yeah, so am I. I'm really shocked that the kiss did not leak until Morphith mentioned it on a red carpet arrival interview. And she mentioned it.
I'm shocked that Adar's fate was not leaked at all.
Yeah.
Cliff, yeah. Is there anything in these, like I just told you, I believe the Celeborn stuff was true and they changed things. Is there anything that you wanted to believe was true and you feel, or false, and you feel that they changed based on the leak?
Ask that question again. I'm trying to.
Do you feel that any of these leaks were sent on purpose because they filmed it a certain way, but they weren't sure about it?
Oh, no, I don't know about that. I get the feeling that the leaks are just someone secretly finding delight in leaking things. That's really what I think it is. But I don't know if it's like, oh, let's add subterfuge to what we're telling the fans. I'm not willing to believe it's advanced to that level. I mean, that level of chicanery, chicanery at our expense. I don't think it's quite like that. Really.
Interesting. Some of these early leaked photos. Remember in season 1, the leaked photos had the ice cliff, and that was a big deal, and it proved true.
Yes.
But stuff like this, that like leaked photos that we got during before season 2, was like this rock with Elvish writing, or is that Dwarvish writing? I don't know. But that didn't really show up in anything. I mean, there wasn't even a passing shot. I don't even remember like a passing shot of showing the rock with this inscription in it. And then there was this big set that was burnt down. This obviously this doesn't feel like this is Eragion, or maybe it was supposed to be an insert, but it's out in a big old field of a
Hmm.
burnt housing structure. I don't
Hmm.
think Eragion is the only thing that burnt down in season 2. Am I right? Like they didn't
That is
really
true.
show anything else.
No.
So it's weird
No.
that Eragion, they were doing inserts for Eragion in the middle of this plateau. Some other quotes from that we were meant to noodle on was, uh, where is it? McKay says, Sauron is now a new piece on the board. Was he
Hmm.
used as a piece on the board?
Well, he was a piece on the board the whole time. He was just hiding who
Right.
he was, which
Want to be.
made us not understand or follow the movement of the pieces in the same way. That's why it was so strange.
This orc encampment ended up being uh, Adar's encampment, which I thought was cool. And of course, they built the big Numenor thing. Man, that's an early photo of the first foundations being
Yeah,
made for the Numenor. Who
that's
knew
right.
how important that place would be with that awesome in-camera shot? How they go from daylight to darkness. You
Yeah,
know,
that was
uh,
cool. That was a cool
so
shot, actually.
what an important set to build, and what a great piece of cinematography that Alex Dissenhoff actually did. Um,
Yes.
so we felt it was very important that season 1 be about reintroducing Middle Earth in this new era, introducing all these kingdoms and all these people and all these characters, and knowing what was important to them and what they had at stake, and hopefully doing so in a way that's intense and exciting and delightful. Um, McKay confirms that season 2 will feature additional canon characters, including Círdan the Shipwright, who is supposed to carry one of the 3 elven rings of power. That
That was
proved
very much
true.
true. He didn't have much to do, but there he was being wonderful. He was just there being wonderful, but he didn't have much to do. It was great to see Círdan represented finally. And now I see the time has come. Timing is everything.
Well,
My goodness. Well,
we're
overall,
50-50 on the leaks. I like those
50-50,
odds.
but I like the odds, especially that the most absurd, crappy crap leaks and rumors were the ones that were not true. That also seemed to be of a benefit
I'm
in the end.
disappointed. I
In the
wanted all the
end calculus,
Celeborn.
that was a no, we don't need any of that Celeborn stuff being thrown around like that. However, I don't trust the situation that Celeborn, who should be on stage historically, has been kept off stage for 2 whole seasons.
He's not
I don't
off
trust the
stage. He's
situation.
dead. He's dead.
You mean,
He's dead.
oh,
They
I
said
don't
it in
accept that.
season 1. I
I don't
don't care if
accept
you
that.
accept it. The show, they killed Celeborn. Period. He's dead. She
They're not
talks
allowed to
about it
do
in
that.
season
That was
1.
one of the main reasons why the Tolkien estate agreed to let Amazon Prime have access to the rights was, and even that famous Tolkien scholar, Thomas Shippey, said that they are bound to not kill or change the timeline of characters and people that will be in the Third Age. So Celeborn is not dead.
He
Can't
is
be. That
dead.
can't be.
He is dead. And
No,
and
I,
and
all
and
right. No,
Tolkien and Peter Jackson set up a situation where they can undead him, because what was the main bad guy in the Hobbit movies? The necromancer.
yeah.
There's a whole necromancy subplot that is going to occur, and I believe that she is going to use the necromancy to raise him from the dead at the same time that Sauron is going to use necromancy to raise the kings of men from the dead.
Maybe,
And
maybe. But it is also true, as Otaku Senpai points out, that even in the case of Glorfindel, there are elves who do die, and on the rarest of occasions are reincarnated to come back to existence in Arda. So that might even happen.
all right,
Yeah.
final comment, and then you can take us out. Do you agree with this statement? Patrick McKay and JD Payne say the first season is like Batman Begins, and the second season is like The Dark Knight, with Sauron maneuvering out in the open. We're really excited. Do you feel
Okay.
that season 2 lives up to that comparison?
No, it doesn't live up to that comparison, but I do understand the comparison. That's a whole separate question. I understand exactly linking one thought to link to the other thought, but it is not the most apt comparison, honestly. But I totally get that. Okay.
There you
All
go.
right. Well, that was a very interesting show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Excuse me while I'm clearing my throat and saying good night to everybody. Um, yeah, it's really true. That's not how necromancy works in Arda. Good point, live chat. I want to encourage everybody to come along with us as we continue to explore news and rumors and report on the facts and even the non-facts. We're going to report on everything. Thank you all very much for being with us. It is time to bring Torn Tuesday to a close. Um, my name is Clifford Broadway, and you can find me on all socials at QuickBeam2000. Follow us, theonering.net, by taking out the dot and just follow the One Ring Net on YouTube and Instagram, and be sure to join our Discord. Lots of amazing things happening.
Well,
And
wait. People are asking for a
I'm a
Miyazaki minute, but I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you. It's not a Miyazaki minute. It's anime related because this Friday in 3 days, there is a huge panel for War of the Rohirrim at New York Comic Con. I don't believe they're going to stream it. I do expect a new trailer to be posted online. I don't have any inside info, but I expect a new anime trailer for War of the Rohirrim, and of course, we will see everybody at the One Ring
Yes.
party in New York with some special prizes and some special guests. And I think you guys are going to have so much fun at the party, and I'm kind of jealous that I'm not that you guys are going to go there. So enjoy New York Comic Con, and I guarantee you that there will be news this Friday about the anime War of the Rohirrim. That's it.
Oh, it's going to be really exciting. That's really big news. Good stuff is happening. Um, Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and thank you for that anime minute, Mr. Justin Sewell. But it was about 20 seconds, but I'll give you that. Everybody, you've been wonderful. I'm going to thank everybody in the live chat, the YouTube, the Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, and everywhere in between. Thank you for joining us and being with us. It is now time to say good night. Until next week, when we will see you again right here. Same bat time, same bat channel, since we're all clued into Batman references this week. Thanks, everybody, again. It's been wonderful to have you all here. Justin, I salute you, sir. I'm now off to the races to go and see Lee Pace. That's right, Thranduil himself. I'm going to go see Lee Pace starring in the amazing film called The Fall that was directed by Tarsem. So we're all going to see that this evening, and now it is time to get going. I thank you again, everyone. Please be safe, take good care of yourselves. Until next time, buenas noches y buena suerte. Good night and good luck. See y'all later. Bye.